Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Trinity International School, I welcome everyone present for this session. Today is indeed a very special day. Firstly, a Sunday, also Father's Day. I wish all the super dads a very happy Father's Day. Today is also celebrated as International Yoga Day, and I think it's a perfect occasion to have with us Dr. George Varghese, who is a consultant, psychotherapist, and psychologist. Dr. Varghese believes that only a healthy mind within a healthy body is fundamental to reaching the integral structure of a family, which includes education, business, marriage, children, finance, and healthy families are essential for the welfare of the society. A very warm welcome, sir. As we all know, today's topic is mental well being during COVID 19, the parents' perspective. I request you to speak about the topic and also guide us how to deal with this difficult situation. Welcome again, sir.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, a very good morning to each one of you all.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning, sir. This is Dr. Rupali, principal at Trinity International School, and it's been so kind of you that you have, spared your valuable time on Sunday to be with us here today. It's a complete honor. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure to be here. Can I go ahead with the session?
Yes, sir. Please. Yes, we can start, sir.
Yeah. A very good morning to each one of you all. And today's topic basically could be to deal with coronavirus. And the last 2 months, we've been all in a house arrest situation, quarantine situation. So this presentation that I'm going to give you all for the next 20 minutes would make you move towards understanding the mental health situations and how you need to deal with them in this time. The spread of the virus in India and the constant buzz around it is increasingly seen as a catalyst that could disturb mental health of millions of housebound children. Before we get into this topic, we need to realize that we parents who deal with this topic, how is our emotional disturbances and how are we facing them? It is very important to realize that the symptoms that are shown on the screen are being understood by each parent so that they do not become reasons for their children to develop mental health situations during quarantine period. The symptoms on the screen include sadness of mood, anxiety, worry, fear of contracting an infection, financial situation or job, or loss of support services you rely on. All these conditions can also restrict children from you from going down, from moving out, from playing with other children in the society. All these things can create emotional disturbances. Now, COVID being itself a condition that it could lead to many other complications, can lead up to you giving up or inability to cope with such a situation, and every member in the family undergoes some degree of dysfunction. Major complaints that are being seen are sleep, appetite disturbances, poor concentration, focus, and attention. Especially in adults and children, this last 2 months have been a period of parents facing severe oppositional behavior or truancy. We need to understand that it's not only the children, but even the elders, if remaining in this condition without attending to it for long, can undergo post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and anxiety disorder. Now, as from moving from the parental side to the children's side, in the last 2 months, our helpline has experienced children facing anxiety, fear, worry, depression, difficulty sleeping, and loss of appetite. We need to understand that quarantine and isolation especially in children when they have high energy in them. And the schools play a very vital role in releasing their energies and channelizing them to the right direction. But during quarantine and isolation, parents who are absolutely clueless of what happens in school and how do they channelize this energy of children being at home, this can lead to acute stress disorder in children, PTSD, and grief because they're not able to speak to their friends, they're not able to associate with them, they're not able to associate with relatives. Many a times, parents are busy handling their own schedules, their work schedules, the pattern of running the house. There may be chances of neglect to children or children trying to seek more attention. But in such situations, what we see is that parents encourage children to be on internet, social sites, games, and computer, which is leading us to another issue of addictions that we may face over time. Going further, how do the parents deal with such a situation? Before I enter into the tips that I would be sharing regarding how to handle children. Now, the healthy ways to cope with this situation of COVID by each parent is to know what to do if you are sick, because we are all concerned that each individual needs to be very careful about dealing with COVID-19. Should know where and how to get the treatment, should take care of your emotional health, where you need to think clearly and react to situations where you can protect your people and your family. Very important point, which is very necessary. If you are going to keep repeating or going through news channels and continuous breaking news on COVID situations, watching, reading, listening to news stories that are coming up on news channels or on social sites or on WhatsApp or on any other social media, this can be really upsetting to you as well as your family members. So I would advise that each one of you take break from watching such news stories or listening to them. It's high time that we learn to live with COVID, learn to attend to COVID, and learn to manage COVID. In doing all this above, it is extremely necessary, as we are in a quarantine situation, we need to take care of our body, as we are not able to have movements and we are into restrictive movements, which can lead to our mental health and physical health being in issues. So there are some tips like taking deep breaths, stretching exercises, and meditation, eating healthy and well-balanced meal. I've been seeing and hearing people talk to me about having a lavish and grand meals at home, which definitely leads to stomach upsets and mood disturbances, because eating healthy and a well-balanced meal is essentially important to keep you alive in this quarantine situation in the most mind-healthy form. Exercise regularly, get plenty of sleep, avoid excessive usage of alcohol or drugs, including unnecessary medication. Last 2 months of all sessions that I've taken with families, it's been highly distressing to know that we, being highly educated, are been experimenting with medicines in the name of immunity. I would advise, please consult your doctor on phone before you take up any medicines, as this can also create drowsiness. It can also create other complications which may affect you during quarantine. Now, the next important point is you have to make time to unwind in all the activities that you do so that you could enjoy, because you are in a monotonous stage in the whole day. You need to see to it that you unwind at the end of the day. I know for parents, it's a Herculean task managing children, managing work, managing household chores, and getting the things on place. It is necessary for you to unwind with the family, connect with others, and if necessary, also connect with the community or faith-based organizations so that the social distancing is necessary, but you need to connect online so that the social necessity needs are being met. In the last 2 months, our helplines have received calls on these parameters. It is highly surprising that families who've got more time to be with each other are experiencing domestic violence, Couples calling up, talking to me that post the quarantine period, we would be applying for divorce because that's it, it's enough. Adolescent behaviors and tantrums, sleeping problems, crying spells, stomach difficulties, and increased addictions. Further, I'm going to give you an understanding because this webinar completely focuses on use of useful tips that you need to take care of your kids during and post COVID-19. First and most important part, kids are understanding the situation, but they are not experienced and they're not knowledgeable enough why they are quarantined or kept under isolation. In such a situation, children would tend to speak more towards you, would try to seek more of your attention. Already you are being engaged in your household chores, your work responsibilities, your other commitments that you are supposed to get into. Therein, the children will start interfering, and children would be seeking or talking to you more than what is normal. Now, the first point, you have to provide assurance wherever necessary. Now, what has been seen and what I've been hearing the last 2 months as COVID-19 situation is also new for we mental health professionals. We've been hearing from parents that children are repetitively seeking assurance as what's going to happen forward, what is the steps forward regarding COVID, when am I going to attend to school, when am I able to speak to my friends, when I'm able to play with them. And if there are repetitively reassurance seeking, then there is a sign of distress in children. It is very necessary here that you need to listen to their concerns and answer to their queries. Spend quality time and give attention to what they need. Children will seek attention as most of the energies needs to be channelized and parents are going to be pulled into it. Now, reading stories to them, especially children between the age group of 3 to 9 years to 11 years, reading stories to them and putting them to sleep will make them feel loud as they are also going through an uncertain situation. The second important point, physical distancing is important in children today, but it is also necessary to reduce their distress by keeping in contact with their friends. Please encourage your children to contact their friends, their cousins and loved ones through video calls and other mediums so that they are reassured that everybody is fine and this condition we can stay with, we can live with, and we can continue with. Third important point is the children's anxiety. You need to look in that children may be anxious because you have been asking them to not to go out, you have been restricting them from too many environments. There may be emotional cues that children may be getting into, and there may be situations that children may not be listening to you, or they may be back answering you, or you may be putting them on a task and they will not be able to do it. Stop being judgmental and stop expressing aggressive feelings towards them. Domestic situations where children are going to be yelled at, screamed at, and at the same time children are not going to be managed at, can create impressions of situations in the future. Do attend to their COVID problems and situations and do not speak to them harshly. There would be fear and anxiety. Understand them and tell them that this is a new situation. We all need to attend to it. Reassure them that it is possible. We need to understand, we need to live with COVID-19. COVID-19 is not going to go out. We need to learn to manage it. We need to learn to tell children to manage it, how to remain healthy, how to remain more, in fact, how to sanitize your hands, how to maintain distance from people, how to take precautions. And it is high time for you to teach your children how to maintain hygiene during COVID-19 situations whenever you come in contact with other people. Give them clear information about what is to be done and what not to be done. At the same time, you will find that children may get anxious and ask you too many questions on whether it is necessary to not get my friend involved while playing, whether I need to maintain the social distancing, what is social distancing, what is the extent of what I can get involved with my friends while playing when I go back to school. So many such questions may come in. Parents can take help of pictures or drawings or other situation or other creative methods to see to it that you can attend to this information with children. Now, indoor activities are extremely necessary for parents to get involved with children during COVID-19 situation. Children are susceptible to boredom, and to avoid their boredom, family time is essential. Parents taking out time and playing board games, cards, caroms, and antakshari is extremely necessary. Putting puzzles to children and making them solve, bringing in craft work, encouraging them for a hobby, putting them to stretching exercises and yoga by whatever YouTube channels that you can subscribe into or look into and make. At the last and most important point, to get involved the children into household activities like dusting the house or cleaning up the house, helping the parent do it. That's one thing to get them engaged. At the same time, to see to it that they are involved and the boredom is being attended to. This is an important question that the teachers, the principals, the administrators, the parents are asking me in the last 2 months. That what would be happening to the schooling and how would the schooling be? This is a time period that online schools are available with parents. Learning cannot stop because at any point of time, learning cannot be substituted, or this is not a holiday period. Children have to enhance their skills by learning. Schools have started their online classes and children should look forward to attending them. Parents should take this seriously with the school and attend to all the school programs that are being sent so that they can keep the children involved in learning and development. These are crucial years and children need to learn. And at home, if it is, how long is this period going to be? This is unsure. So it is necessary that there is a learning pattern which has been encouraged at home with support of the school and the teachers, which are always available for parents to ensure good quality learning and teaching. Now, in all this situation, a regular habit of studying and parents taking time to give children assignments on their lessons and replacing teachers for a limited period, taking the help of the teachers with regards to assignments, and the parents should be able to check the assignments to understand their child's progress. In all this, when learning has to take place at home, it is extremely necessary that children are encouraged for healthy food habits and healthy sleep and rest habits, because when you are not going to eat healthy or not going to sleep on time, here is where you would not be able to study properly, because focus, attention, concentration, all will get into issues. And one most important point, the biological clock getting disturbed, leading to emotional behavioral problems. This is an extremely essential point. Biological clock has to be maintained by the parent so that the child is encouraged to learn, the child is active in the right way, the child is not cranky, not showing in behavioral and emotional problems at the time when parents are absolutely running from pillar to post to get all the things on place. The last point, which is the most important part, encouraging mental health is not what we mental health professionals are trying to do today, but we are playing a more supportive role in making parents realize that we are with them. At the same time, we're also making a constant effort to appeal to each one of us to be models, and we have to be the model calmness to all the people around us. Especially parents have to be the leading role of model calmness to the children, and they need to be the anxiety barometer where children may do the testing as well as the setting limits situation, where the parents will have to be the model. Put a check on the anxiety on children. Don't transfer your anxiety on children. This is one important point which I have been constantly talking to parents, that you are anxious about the situation, you're putting it onto children, this will make your children deal with anxiety and emotional issues. Stay well, at the same time, be healthy. This is what I would like to appeal to. There is below where you can contact our professional wherever there's a necessity. And lastly, before I wind up this small talk with you all, I would like to thank Mrs. Harsha Jadhav Deshmukh, Director of Trinity International School, Mrs. Rupali Damdire, the Principal, for giving me this opportunity. And thanks to all the parents who have taken their valuable time to attend this session. Over to Q&A. Is there any questions that anybody would like to ask me?
Any questions? If we have parents that you have, you can put them in the chat box, and we'll have the question answer session now for some time.
I think the most important point what Sir has said is learn to live with COVID and how to take
Yes.
precautions. I think that is very, very important for us as a parent to know. And thank you, Sir, for pointing out this. We also have Ms. Shruti, who is the counselor. Shruti ma'am, would you like to say something? A lot of important points, Sir, you have covered in this. How we can encourage children. Also, I think making children be in contact with their friends, their cousins, yes, it is really important.
Very true, because keeping communication,
Yes,
keeps check on your emotional patterns, and a preoccupied mind can always be handled by communication. So we should encourage children to not get into preoccupied thinking, so that for this we need to encourage them to communicate with as many people as possible. And healthy communication. Schools starting online classes will be extremely essential to handle this situation at home.
and I think many parents were confused whether the schools which are going online are good or no, but I think you have cleared that doubt absolutely.
Very true. We need to have online classes on to keep children active,
Yes,
because they cannot be subject to a learning of quarantine or isolation, because they will bring mental blocks in them for over a period of
right.
time, which we and mental health professionals are absolutely new to this condition. We are checking on to it, and we are making parents aware that they need to keep them occupied, they need to keep them involved, even though parents are running from pillar to post to run the situation at home, and whether it's a 500 square feet house or whether it's a 5,000 square feet that's going on.
Yes. Any questions from anyone?
Very true, sir, that we also realize that the parents today have to engage double the time that they used to earlier, and they being working from home, having their own pressures, and still trying to help the children out uh, during the time at home and helping them out with classes. It does take a toll on their time, and maybe the stress levels that they are going through as well. But I think it your session and the tips that you have given will definitely help them to, and all of us, as all of us are parents, it will help us to manage our time in a better manner.
True.
Yeah, Mukta ma'am, if you
We
could
need to learn
yeah.
to.
Yes, sir.
We need to learn to live with this condition, and expecting children to take the instead of that, tough times don't last, but tough people do. It's time for us parents to become tough over time. Take the onus of the situation onto us, the pressure onto us, and not push our anxiety or pressures onto the children. At the same time, safeguarding children from this pressure and anxiety is extremely important, and making them live with it, and so that they don't come up with conditions like PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorders, which would be seen coming on a rise post the COVID situation, which is going to be extremely challenging for the school, extremely challenging for the mental health professionals to attend to children. So it is necessary to attend to be cautious about it and make children may not enter into such a situation. So engaging children is extremely important for the school as well as for the children. No way that we can say that the pressures on parents or the teachers are going to be lesser, but we all will have to go through it. We have to learn to live with it. We
Very,
have to sacrifice for our children. We'll have to do it.
very, very true, sir. If we have any questions in the chat box, Mukta ma'am, if you could read them out.
Yes, ma'am, I'll just check. Yes.
Yeah, there's a
There's a
question that
question.
is coming on.
Yes. How should we keep them in touch with their friends since they are missing them the most?
Yes, encouraging them to have video chats with friends for at least 10 minutes to 15 minutes on a daily basis would be an encouraging activity that I would say, because friends do bring in natural smile and increases dopamine and serotonin levels naturally. And when we tend to talk to a friend, we tend to change our tone, expression, language, even though we are on a remote situation with our friends. So increasing our dopamine levels, increasing our serotonin levels is extremely important, and pumping them up when you are quarantined and isolated and you are having a restricted movement. The only way to pump serotonin and dopamine without exercise, proper exercise or movement, is to be in touch with people. And to be in touch with people, encouraging them to laugh and you also laughing, and at the same time smiling as much as possible. That's the only way to bring up dopamine and serotonin.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir,
Yes.
Yes, who's this?
what time want to do yoga?
I couldn't get your question, better. Come again.
Okay, sir.
I didn't get
I
your
think-
question. Please.
I think the child wants to say what is the time the child should do yoga or things like that, because you mentioned that they should be doing yoga. So I think the child is asking what is the time that the child should do yoga.
Most preferably, the yoga should be done in the morning, and that is the best time for your body to take the best out of yoga, because pumping dopamine at 8 a.m. in the morning through yoga is the best thing to keep you active the whole day. So yoga between 6 to 8 a.m. is the ideal time. There are different asanas which are there, which we call it as Surya Namaskar, we call it as Chandra Namaskar. So there are some asanas which can also be done in the evening, but that energy level should be pumped up during morning. But there are asanas which can be done towards the evening also. We call it as Chandra Namaskar. When we call it evening yoga, we call it Surya Namaskar when we say morning yoga. So better preferably morning. You
Mukta
there?
ma'am, do we have any more
Yeah.
questions?
No, ma'am, we don't have any more questions in the chat box
Okay.
right now.
So I think if Mukta ma'am would do the vote of thanks.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, sir, for giving your time on the Sunday morning. And I think for all our parents, this is really, really very. I think there is one question. May I take it?
Yeah.
Yes,
Sure.
ma'am. Take it. Yeah.
Yes. What are the ways to increase children's concentration,
Yeah.
especially the young children?
Yes. Now, to increase concentration, the first question, the child made it easy for me. So please, you can do yoga in the morning. That's one way that you can have focus, attention, and concentration. Other ways of increasing concentration is to get involved in activities that encourage your skills. Like, you can do drawing, you can do coloring, you can do crafts. Now, the whole point is that we cannot have tips of concentration given to children today during a quarantine period. But encouraging them some craft and creative work can definitely keep their concentration levels very high. So, call in from Amazon, you can call in for coloring books. At the same time, you can call in for craft activities or building up electronic gadgets if children are interested in it. These are areas that children can keep them focused as well as concentrated. Now, concentration tips can also be like meditation, pranayama, and also focusing on candlelight situations where you focus on the candle, but this to be done with proper guidance from an expert. Shruti ma'am is writing to everyone that how can we handle mood swings of teenage students. Now, first and foremost, last 2 months of, I've been working for almost 14 hours per day, attending to calls from various parts of the world. Mood swings or temper tantrums of adolescents have definitely been on the rise. So this question is extremely important. Mood swings are definitely coming in because for elders like us, we need to pump in our serotonin and dopamine. So we need to take an effort to do that. But when it comes to adolescents, they have their hormonal changes at the peak. So even though they are not into activity situation, their serotonin and dopamine levels and adrenaline levels are very high. Because adrenaline levels are too high, children tend, because they're isolated, they have not been allowed to move. They may show mood swings. So the one and foremost reason for children showing mood swings during quarantine and isolation is because their adrenaline levels are there and they are having restrictive movements. So attending to children and giving them activities like encouraging them to help you with the household chores, at the same time giving them some physical activities which may make them move will reduce their mood swings. So this is not a condition which we should diagnose for depression or should not diagnose for emotional behavioral problems. Because there is a condition that we are going through presently, that is the COVID isolation and quarantine. So I would caution parents as well as teachers as well as health professionals not to jump into finding a diagnosis or a condition in children, but to give an understanding that children are having these things because of restricted movements. Give them or plan out activities which can give them, like running around the house. Is it possible? I'm not sure. But then how the physical activity can be increased, how mental stimulated activities can be given. And please avoid giving them too much of oily stuff and sugar items, including maida items, because this will see to it that their energy levels are too high. At the same time, avoid a lot of chocolates. And if it is involving cocoa powder, too good. You're going to have a good time with your adults and children. So encourage them not to get into these things. Please make healthy snacks for the adolescents. Adolescents have grown up, so mothers can get them involved in the kitchen. I was happy to hear from most of my clients across the globe that fathers have learned to cook at home, mop the floor. So everybody is doing their part. So children can also do their part. So seeing to it that we're having a healthy, balanced diet and not encouraging adolescents also to be hooked up to social sites or internet, and they waking up during the night period between 11 p.m. to 2 p.m. In such cases, mood swings can happen in the day. So the biological clock not being attended to could be a reason why mood swings are coming in. It do not call for a diagnosis. So health professions should be extremely careful. Teachers should be extremely careful of not diagnosing a situation. Poor sleeping habits, too much of unhealthy food could also be a reason. for mood swings other than adrenaline, dopamine, serotonin.
Thank
I
you very
would,
much, sir. Thank you.
I
Thank
would
you.
like to ask that more parents are concerned about the screen time. Right now, the children, as they are in the house, screen time has become an issue. Would you like to say something about it? Screen time.
Very, very important question. We are fighting an era of computer, internet, and social site addiction. And here comes a pandemic which puts us into a situation that we are engrossed with these aspects. The ideal time for being online is 35 minutes. And if it's more than 35 minutes of engaging in computer games or engaging in other social activities, there is scientific evidence in journals that it affects focus, attention, concentration in children. So encouraging children to engaged activities is going to be highly harmful with regards to focus, attention, concentration. But this pandemic had never been thought of when people were writing or understanding addictions in internet, computer, or mobile. So we need to understand that the schooling part should be encouraged. Other than that, 1.5 hours, I may want to extend 35 minutes to 1.5 hours. Other than the school online classes, other than that, children should not be encouraged to be on social sites, internet, mobiles, because maximum complaints, which are not one of the points was children calling up with eye problems in our hospitals. Last 2 months, the counseling division has been receiving that swelling of eyes, watering of eyes, irritation of eyes, redness of eyes, heaviness of the eyes. And we've been telling them that this is because of increased time that you've been spending on screen. So it is you who need to limit yourself. So parents should not encourage children to test limits of this and should set limits. Important. Setting limit would be, other than school online classes, 35 minutes to 1 hour to 1 hour 30 minutes. Beyond that, it should not be encouraged. And all this is going on, so constant TV viewing can also be another major headache for attention, focus, and concentration. So 35 minutes is the ideal situation. I would put COVID situations coming in to 1.5 hours more. Beyond that, other than school online classes, TV viewing and other things should be restricted because they have high impacts on the brain circulation.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Rupali ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
If
I
all
think
the
there are no.
questions are addressed, yes, ma'am, you can.
Yes, yes, ma'am. All the questions are addressed.
Yeah.
I again thank sir for being here on behalf of all the teachers, parents, and our Trinity family. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for giving us time.
Pleasure to be with each one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mukta ma'am, may I conclude, ma'am?
Yes, Rupali ma'am. Yes, we can.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Dr. Varghese. Very good evening.
Very
I'm
good.
glad. So are we ready to start the evening, sir? On behalf of Trinity International School, a very, very good evening, sir. Dr. Varghese, it's been very kind of you to accept our invitation to enrich our parent body today. We also have, I would like to tell everyone, we also have an international audience with us today. So welcome even to the audience. Doctor, what I would like to actually introduce you to the audience, but I want you to do it, please. I know I won't be able to do justice to your qualification and to your career. So please, a brief introduction about yourself.
Okay, Nas. I've been practicing as a psychologist since 2003, and I've been happy to treat around 6,500 patients till date. And I do run a company called VSOL India Private Limited. We have a medical wing and we have a corporate wing. And at the corporate level, we deal with human potential development. And on the deal with normal people having abnormal issues. I have been dealing with the normal population for the last around 7 years. So today's topic is being given to me regarding COVID. So I think I would be able to give justice more by speaking more on the topic. So can I start, Naz?
Yes, please do. Please do. I hand over the reins of the evening to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A very
Just
good evening.
one request to the audience, keep yourself on mute till the session is on. At the end of the session, we are going to have a 10-minute question and answer where you can ask doctor your queries and doubts. So till then, please keep your phones on mute.
A very good evening to one and all from Pune in India and abroad. I thank each one of you for taking out time this evening to join me. The topic given to me is something that I lived along with you all for the last 2 months, and the topic which is near to me is how to take care of kids' mental health during and post COVID-19. As we all know, the spread of virus in India and the constant buzz around it is increasingly seen as a catalyst that could disturb mental health of millions of housebound children. This not only in India, internationally, this topic is being discussed about, that how is this going to be seen as a catalyst disturbing mental health of so many housebound children. Before I get into talking about children, I would love to raise concerns of the situation under stress the parents are undergoing, all the elders are undergoing, and the emotional disturbances that arise in them in the context of the significant life change that has happened in the last 2 months. Now, parents, if they are going through emotional disturbances, under these conditions, it may be worse for children. Now, what are these emotional disturbances? Sadness of mood, anxiety, worry, fear of contracting an infection, your financial situation or a job situation, or loss of support services you rely on, or all the combination of these. Second, it could be persistent preoccupation about you with the illness which is going on around, inability to cope or giving up tendencies, creating some sort of degrees of dysfunction, sleep issues, appetite issues, poor concentration, focus, and attention. When you have adults and children at home, you are experiencing seeing oppositional behavior from them or truancy, and all this, if are found in you, these emotional disturbances, then you may be prone in for depression, anxiety, or post-traumatic stress disorder. We are undergoing a situation which no one of us has foreseen. The last 2 months, including me, are being going through emotional disturbances. So health professionals are very careful in creating a diagnosis, creating in mind the emotional disturbance that people are going through. So each one of us is careful when a diagnosis is there. There is an air of emotional disturbances in the families. In the last 2 months, the amount of sessions that I have taken has shown that coronavirus, the quarantine, and the isolation has brought disturbance. Now, keeping the parents aside, when we talk about children, the wide range of psychological issues that are being seen with children is sleeping difficulties, loss of appetite, eating all the junk food which is possible. They're asking in for more of unhealthy stuff, and the grief that children are going through with regards to they've not been able to meet their friends, they've not been able to have a free call and going out and play, they're not able to move around, and the increasingly addiction of the children moving towards internet, social sites, games, and computers. these emotional disturbances would be there, but what could be seen in the days to come? That we were in an era of internet, social site, games, and computer addiction. But the last 2 months would seemingly create an increase in it. Now, before I deal with what we need to do with children, let's deal with what we should be doing so that we handle our emotional disturbances. The first way to deal with this stressful situation is to know what to do if you are sick and if you are concerned about COVID-19. You need to be in touch with your local physician to see that in any undue situation, you are able to seek help. You should, second point, know where and how to get treatment, whether it is from the government center, because as far as Pune is concerned, India is concerned, the government bodies are taking responsibility over it. So you should be knowing where and how to get treatment about it. The next point, which is very important, is to take care of your emotional health more than your physical health. I've been getting a lot of calls on helpline, people asking me about the physical health, people asking me about what we need to be doing to maintain physical health. And I've been seeing people taking unnecessary medications, whether it is from the Ayurvedic point of view, homeopathic point of view, or from the allopathic point of view. I would advise people should restrain from taking unnecessary medications and should consult doctor with regarding to their physical health. But it's the time of quarantine and isolation. I'm sure all of you are doing well on your physical health, but it's time to take care of your emotional health and give it importance. Long are the days that India has left stigma on talking about emotional health. And we being in the 21st century, we facing a situation which is there and which is going to be there, and we have to learn to live with it, which is going to have a serious impact on our emotional health. And we should think clearly and react to urgent needs to protect yourself and your family. The next important thing that I've been getting calls, or my team were getting calls, in people hearing to the pandemic repeatedly on news channels, watching, reading, and listening to news stories, and creating phobic or anxiety-related issues within them. I would advise this audience to refrain from social media and these negative news, which could be upsetting your emotional health over time. It is time for us to prepare for the future, to learn to live with COVID, other than getting worried about what are we going to do with regards to COVID. Now, since the physical health is of concern, what we really need to do is not look in for medicinal remedies, but to take care of your body with regarding to deep breaths, stretches, exercise, or to meditate. The next important part is to try to eat healthy, well-balanced meals, exercise regularly, take plenty of water and sleep, and caution on taking alcohol and use of it just to see to it that you are able to manage your emotional health. It is time to unwind. I have made use of this 2 months to get closer to the family and to the people that I knew better in times that I couldn't connect to them. So it is upon you. Are you going to look at COVID over that time? How do you connect with people? Now, the other ways to keep yourself much more on emotional health is to be connected with a faith-based organization or a community where social distancing is an issue today, but you can connect people online through social media or phone and see to it that you are sharing your emotional health and also seeking help. Now it's the time to understand that what are we doing sitting at home for the last 2 months? What I've been receiving or our helpline has been receiving over 2 months is domestic violence increased at the rate of 21%, people seeking for divorce around 10%, adults and misbehaviors and tantrums around 15%, sleep problems around 15%, crying spells and people calling with crying spells 9%, stomach difficulties, people calling with 20%, and increased addictions with people calling up to 10%. Domestic violence at home, seeking help for divorce, at the time when you have the time to be with each other. This shows that's the emotional disturbance of the parents, which needs to be attended first before we talk about the kids. Well, today's topic is concerned regarding kids and how do we deal with them. So let's move into understanding the aspects of what we need to do to keep kids to have good mental health during and post COVID-19. The first point, I would like to cover 6 useful tips. The first useful tip would be to provide assurance whenever necessary. Children have a lot of energy and they burn it attending good schools. And when they are in school, they burn their energies and they seek learning and development in them. They seek knowledge and they intellectually grow over time. When they are being restricted from this environment and they're pushed to home environment for a long period, children do get into repetitive reassurance seeking from parents with regard to the condition COVID-19. Now, it is very necessary for parents to listen to their concerns and try answering their queries related to the outbreak. They need to spend quality time to give the children the attention they need. This is how children would learn to live with COVID-19. Provide assurance, talk to them, listen to their concerns, answer them. The second important point is to keep them in contact with their friends. Physical distancing from friends, both at the society level or at the area where you are staying at from school, this is the need of the hour. But you should encourage your children to talk to their friends, to their cousins or loved ones by calling them up on through video calls up to around 10 minutes to around 30 minutes per day. Third important point is to manage your child's anxiety. If I was talking for around 5 minutes discussing about emotional issues or disturbances among parents, then definitely seeing that parents on emotional level, children would develop anxiety. It is normal for children to become anxious at this time when both external and internal environment could be emotionally challenging. Parents should be able to look for emotional cues in their children and talk to them regarding the same. Avoid being judgmental when they express their feeling. Do not avoid their questions to COVID or speak to them harshly. This can increase their fear and anxiety. Instead, make them understand that things will be better if we take proper care. Remember that this is a new situation for your children. You cannot get irritated, and you will have to get them ready to face it, the challenges that post COVID-19 is going to bring in for us. Fourth important point is to give children clear information of how they should be maintaining social distancing once the schools reopen or once you start moving out. Thanks to the government, thanks to the school authorities that they've been online, seeing to it that children are attending to school so that most of their energies are being brought into use. Their learning and development phase has not been broken. And it is the responsibility of the parents along with the school authorities to provide uninterrupted learning environment for children in the days to come. It is not advisable to provide children with lots of reports and news related to the outbreak, but it is very important to give them current information of what is happening around and what they should be doing to do with whether it regards to hygiene, whether it is regard to social distancing, or whether it is regard to emotional discomforts or physical discomforts that children will have to go through in the days to come. Now, the next important point is presently children are at home and children may continue to be at home for another 1 or 2 months, depending on what the government authorities would decide over school or children moving out to play in the society or to engage in other activities. If they are restricted on activities, it is a responsibility of the parents to get them engaged in indoor activities. If the energies are not challenged, children will easily get bored. And if you do not involve them in indoor games, you cannot cut down on the boredom. Family time is extremely essential, and people and parents would have to connect within the family playing board games, cards, caroms, and takshari, whatever is possible for you all to connect and keep the children engaged in indoor activities. You can be quite simple by giving them puzzles to solve or teaching them crafts or any other things available that you can acquire through Amazon or any other agencies. Encourage children to pick up a hobby so that they can keep themselves busy when you are engaging from pillar to post. I do understand the situation of the parents today, that they are running from pillar to post, handling the home situation, handling their work situation, and handling all of the with regards to health. At the same time, managing children get along with their tasks. And the online school has become a tedious activity for parents. But we can't talk about it. We can't do anything about it. We have to learn to live with it. The more we learn to live with it, the better we adjust with the environment. It is extremely essential that children do exercise, yoga, or dancing, whichever they enjoy. This is another way that we can burn their energy and keep them constructive in this destructive period of time. Give children simple household activities to keep them engaged. I know parents are involved, even including me, or many fathers. Today being Father's Day, fathers have been taking an oath that we will be very supportive to our families. We have been engaging to doing our household activities with pride to support our spouses, as well as our women who've been also taking the burden in this challenging time. The last point I would love to raise with regards to taking care of your kids is to make a routine of learning at home. Schools were closed, but most of the schools are conducting online classes. Whatever the scenarios are, whether the government speeds up the situation, or we know practically what is happening and the challenges that the government is facing and attending to the COVID situation, online classes would have to be
We cannot
the
hear
call
anything, any madam.
for few months. However, this should not stop children from learning. Ensure that children have a regular habit of studying by giving them small assignments related to lessons. Parents should associate with the teachers, collect assignments, and see to it that this environment would not hamper the learning aspects of children. Give children healthy food and put them to proper rest. Setting times for meal and bedtime is extremely essential when children are indoors, because the biological clock can get disturbed and this can bring in issues over time. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes, I guess everyone is able to hear you. I think we are having problem with one of our attendees, but we can hear you, so please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to be done within a minute. I was told that I'm not being audible. Okay, everybody's able to hear me. Good.
No, I think it's just one attendee. Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, great. Now, I have covered around 6 major topics of how you should be parenting your children, being at home. The last one, which I was trying to cover, was that we need to be responsible in providing a learning environment for our children. Challenges are there, and challenges will remain for a certain period. The teachers will have to take the toll, the parents will have to take the toll. We don't have a choice. We will have to learn to live with it other than talking about it. The lesser we talk, the lesser emotional disturbances we will be getting into. We will have to look forward to be in it. Now, the point that I was trying to highlight is that we will have to become models of calmness. If we are not going to remain calm and we cannot model being on calmness, we would be distributing anxiety around and we would be transferring them to our children. You have to be responsible, socially responsible, to be anxiety barometers that people around you are not disturbed. So I appeal to the population to be models of calmness, and learning to live with COVID. We have our helplines on which you can call. You can call in the school authorities to take in the concerned person and the number if you wish to talk to any of our counselors if you need any help. Wishing you all a happy quarantine period. Wishing you all to be healthy in the days to come. And I'm happy to wind my talk by thanking the director, Mrs. Harsha Jadhav Deshmukh, the principal, Naz, and others. And I leave this forum to take in questions and answers section now.
So we aren't
Over
letting
to
you
you,
go
Naz.
this early, sir.
Sure,
We're not
go ahead.
letting you go this easy, sir. You're not off the hook at all. This was a superbly enriching talk, sir. I have gone through many webinars, but believe me, this made sense. It was short, crisp, and it was to the point. And I'm sure every parent today is going to go back with some extra tool, of knowledge to enhance their mental health. So thank you very much. We are opening up the question and answer section, sir, doctor. So any
Yes.
parents who would like to ask questions, please just unmute one at a time, ask doctor the question, and doctor will reply to you, please. Any parents have any questions? Please feel comfortable and free. We have a gorgeous attendance, more than 68 people. So I guess all of them are experts, doctor. You need to take each one of us on your panel of counselors. You don't
Can
have
I
any
ask
questions?
something?
Yes, sure. Please, ma'am, please.
Hi. So I'm not a parent. I have siblings. I wanted to ask, what do you do when kids don't want to get off their electronic devices? When you have options present, but they're unwilling to explore them in terms of exercise, games, creativity, dancing, any of that, but they don't want to get off their tab. And that's all they have to do at this point because they can't go out and see their friends or anything.
Yes. Now, it's where parenting
I guess a
limits
question
come in.
many parents
So
would
there
like
are
to
two aspects. Can I answer?
Yes, sure. I just meant to say that, this is the question many parents would have also. A very good
You were
question.
not audible. Yeah, very good question. Yes. Now, when it comes to this, we need to understand that we need to set two things. Children are there to test the limits, and we are there to set the limits. In my talk, I was very clear, and post my post graduation, the first seminar that I attended medically was computer addiction. Now, we've been told that more than 35 minutes glued to any game for over 24 hours can reduce your concentration, focus, and attention. If anything is more than 1 hour, 30 minutes per day, you would be labeled as an addict along with an alcoholic. So alcoholic being an addict and you being an addict to computers, or both are the same. Now, we never foresee a situation like this where we are forced to be quarantined or isolated. So definitely, most of us are going to be engaged and glued to the social media, or children glued to the gadgets. There is a thin line of how much time should children be spending. So the line medically, it has been approved as just 35 minutes. So parents will have to take that extra effort to motivate children, or use token economy principles to see to it that children are being pushed to a hobby, into a craft, or into something creative other than gluing onto electronic gadgets. If it is available, children would definitely would make use of it. If it is not available, they will find the alternatives. So parents will have to set the limit, and children are free to test the limits of the parents.
Well answered.
Okay.
Any more questions, please?
Thank you.
Hi, yes, I have a question here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, we
Okay.
can, sir. Please go ahead. We can.
Yeah, so I'm Kalsi, and I have a 9-year-old son. And during this time, while we are all quarantined inside our homes and all, there are two things that really affect us very much here. So one, I think, which has already been answered by you, is to limit the internet thing to 30 minutes. But the point is, now this is a follow-up question to that. That as parents, we are all working throughout the day. Okay, and while the other internet-based activities are more freely available, like on TVs, on phones, on desktops, other devices, it becomes challenging for the parents to actually keep their cool while making sure that the child is more occupied in other things. Yeah. So what could be the best ways where the parents can save their job as well as save their children?
Very
Yeah,
good
I
that's
absolutely
question.
love that statement of this. How do we save our
Very
jobs and keep
well,
our cool? Yeah. Very well drafted.
very well drafted and very well put up. In fact, I was from day one in favor when I was receiving calls from government authorities or receiving calls from parents. I was from day one in favor of online schooling being continued. Now, why the reason why online school was brought in? The reason was children would be kept engaged in something, and at the same time, parents would be also be able to look into their work environments when children are occupied with the school environment. Now, now seeing to it that the school environment is much more interesting and much more productive, that children don't get glued towards the electronic gadget could be one of the focuses that we could be looking in for the months to come. Definitely, children would be loving to be glued to the gadget with regards to a video game other than to listen to a teacher and attend to her and to do the assignments. But definitely, gadgets are not the solution. So I know the part of addictive behavior, and I've been dealing with addictive behavior for the last around 10 years. We have a situation to attend. And it's a situation which may end up post the COVID period of a lineup of mental situations arising out of this addiction if children are glued to internet over time or to computers over time. What could be the best possible answer is something that I'm also trying to wonder out in the days, the last 2 months. The reason is this situation was not foreseen, and many of us are thinking of what could be the alternative that could be brought in. Now, something that is more interesting to children other than a video game is something that the parents will have to creatively think of. Now, I am also trying to creatively think of something, but when I'm asked going to say, tell my children to come to play with the clay or with something else, they would definitely be interested with the gadget. So seeing to it that you're putting a setting limit to it and encouraging them by rewarding them or using a token situation, and seeing to it that they engage in other activities would be the best thing that we can think of today. Anybody from the audience can also answer this if they have a better uh, the solution, but we will have to learn to live with it. We would have to understand the pluses and minuses of the situation, and gadgets and keeping children glued to gadgets when because parents are working, because we have a Herculean task on our head. We have to go from pillar to post to do things. All of us are going to face this situation in the days to come more and more. It's not going to be less, at least for the next 6 months. As a doctor, I would say.
So basically, doctor, what we are saying is each child, uh, how to engage each child needs to be customized, right? So the parents have to customize how to engage the children. One formula doesn't work for all. One size doesn't fit all, right? Any more questions, please?
It is. I'm facing these questions for the last 1 month. And when I'm saying that go for craft, go for a hobby, go for other things, children are more engaged for gadgets. That's something that they've been exposed to, and to wean them off it is going to be difficult.
It's
So
going to be
parents
very
will
difficult.
have to have a aspect. Yeah, it's going to be difficult.
I'm a
One
parent of a
small follow-up.
16-year-old myself. Yes, sir,
Yeah.
please
So
go ahead.
Yeah, one small follow up on this. So, one thing that makes it challenging, even though we come up with creative ways of, keeping them engaged, is that, while the parents are both using gadgets to do their work, they're on their phone and laptops, the child is deprived of the gadget, and which kind of becomes a very unfair situation in his mind, that why am I supposed to work with pencils and all this and that, where you can enjoy your laptop and phone. So I think that would be the first hurdle to kind of where the creative solutions would be needed. So any advice over there where we can how we can handle that?
Yes, there is where I was talking about learning environment to home. When I'm talking about children, it's the same time that the working environment at home. If you all can also restrict your working times to times that the child is on online schooling or any other classes that you've enrolled the child on, because online classes are going on not only from the school, but there are other online classes on creativity crafts which are running online. So making a period from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. is where you would be having the classes and other things coming in. And post 3 p.m., if the parents could also restrict and spend more family time on indoor games or indoor activities, which could be, keeping the child engaged, the child motivated and willing to cooperate with you to see that the child is away from gadgets. That could be done. So setting a time limit to work as well as keeping the same when the school online classes are going on, merging them up, and then having a period post 3 p.m. where the children are not glued to gadgets. It would be helpful for their sleep as well as appetite. They'll be sleeping on time, because one of the issues that children could face, which doctors would be facing in the days to come, is children having eyesight problems. Already we are getting helpline calls in the hospital with regards to swollen eyes, with regard to reddening of eyes, watery eyes, not able to sleep. These issues are arising because of too much of time spent over internet or gadgets. So there is no formula stating that children would be allowed to continue the gadgets. We will have to set limits, and we will also have to set limits on us and take important calls post 3 p.m. and have more family time with the children. They would be engaged, and at the same time they would follow you.
Basically,
Okay.
doctor,
Yeah.
we need to be the role models for our children. I would
We will
also
have to
like the
set it.
parents to, we will have to set the example.
True, very true.
Also, to all
Did I
the
answer
parents
you,
attending today,
Shikal?
I love your statement, doctor, of being models of calmness. These are, a few words I want the parents to carry back in their memory today, to be models of calmness. Such an insightful, deep thought, to be models of calmness. It's a wonderful word. I'm repeating it again, just so that parents can, it registers. Please be models of calmness for your family, for your children, for people around you. Any more questions, please? Doctor, I see no more questions coming in. I would like to thank you for a very, very valuable time. I know how busy you are. You still made time. We had a morning session that was also jam-packed. I've got amazing reviews of that particular session. I'll share them with you shortly. This session is also packed to capacity. It's wonderful. Thank you very much. A happy Father's Day to you and to everybody present. Good day. Good day, everybody. Thank you, sir. Thank you, audience.
Thank you.
Thank you for being
Thank
a
you.
part
Thank
of
you.
this.
Thank you,
Bye.
doctor.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. Goodbye.
Goodbye.